There are two unanimous facts about Sonic that are consistent in almost every universe. He goes fast, and he likes chili dogs. So I've already talked about all the published reasons as to why he goes fast. But the chili dog thing, when was that first introduced, and why hasn't anyone questioned the fact that Sonic enjoys eating the ground up entrails of his animal brethren? On this Origin Oracle, we'll find out the answers to one of those questions. So let's get going. And a special shout out to Ethereal Dragon who submitted this idea in the Discord. If you guys haven't joined that already, check the description below. Just join and maybe I can use one of your ideas for a future video, you never know. So first off, you could argue Sonic's affinity for fast food was first established in the famous Sonic Bible that was drafted by Sega of America. It was this lengthy document that was used to make a more westernized attempt at Sonic's backstory prior to the release of the first game. There were multiple drafts of this thing, with the first draft describing Sonic as a hedgehog living in the town of Hardley, Nebraska. More on this in my Sonic Origins video if you want to check that out. But one of the newer drafts started to build out more of the familiar world we see in early Western Sonic media with Mobius as his home planet. This draft introduced his favorite diet as fast food, which I just think is a great attempt at humor here. But if we want to get to the bottom of the chili dog itself, we have to head back to Sonic's very first television series, Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
In a world full of villains, only one hero stands in their way. The pesky hedgehog? Especially the pesky hedgehog.
Following the success of video game-based TV series like Captain N and the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, Geek Enterprises approached Sega to produce two cartoon series based on Sonic the Hedgehog. One would become The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, and the other would be just Sonic the Hedgehog, a more serious and story-oriented cartoon. We'll first look at Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. While influenced heavily by the games, this series was kind of its own thing, starring a more Americanized version of Sonic, voiced by the child superstar of the 90s, Jaleel White.
Well then, put your tushy in this cushy. Hey Tails, we're in luck!
Each episode was very Looney Tune-esque as it detailed Sonic and Tails' wacky adventures in Mobius as they put a stop to the plans of Dr. Ivo Robotnik and his minions in every episode. And for what it's worth, Long John Baldry's charming performance of Dr. Robotnik was the one I had in my head whenever I was playing the games.
Shut your brass beaks, you chrome clackers!
At least until Sonic Adventure came out. So this show isn't necessarily connected to any of the Sonic games, except for maybe Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, which gave them some creative liberties on this version of Mobius. One of those things were, you guessed it, chili dogs.
It's chili dog time, yeah.
Chili dogs are apparently an extremely popular food product within this world, and it's established as Sonic's favorite food, but it gets even more intriguing. In episode 28, we see the process of chili dogs being served as a suspicious powder. And Sonic just drops some water on it and boom, a full plate of chili dogs ready to eat. So I took all of this into consideration and wanted to make a proper chili dog myself. First I got some powder that I found laying around and tried to add water, but
That's no good.
way to mislead me, Sonic. But more on my chili dog escapades later. I wanted to take my search even deeper into the chili dog thing, and via the references at Sonic Retro, I managed to find a defunct page called Lettuce Studios that archived the pre-production document for Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. TheMentok from the future here, I actually found out that this website is still active. So the curator is named Leedsy. Leedsy, if you're watching this video, thank you for this content. You guys should go check out the site. I'll go include this in the description as well. Okay, past Mentok, back to you. This is like the reference Bible the creators use to document character bios, lore, overall personality traits. And here on page 3 of Sonic's introduction, he's already referencing chili dogs.
When I'm warping, I can open the refrigerator door and rate it for chili dog makings before the light goes on. What can I say? I'm fast.
That's my best Jaleel White impression, by the way.
Okay.
I imagine someone came up with the chili dog idea pretty early in production, because not only is it referenced here, but there's art of it laying around as well. The one thing I couldn't find is who originally wrote the document, but the original creators of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog are father-son duo Bruce and Reed Shelley. Luckily, I managed to stumble upon an interview they had with Inverse recently this year, where Reed says it was his father Bruce who may have come up with the idea. Reed says, quote, "This smells like my father. Writing with my dad was wonderful. He was a craftsman and was willing to share with me and everyone he worked with his knowledge and skills." Reed also says his father has no clear memory on the chili dog matter, but I think it's safe to say that one of these two minds may have come up with it. Turns out they were the ones who actually wrote the story Bible as well, along with another writer named Len Jansen. Regardless, this documentation is a weird combination of the two shows since they were working on them at the same time. So if you have any time for a rather fascinating read, I'd recommend checking this out. I'll link it in the description below. So there you have it. That's the very first mention of Sonic enjoying chili dogs, and this idea would spread into the other Sonic animations like Sonic the Hedgehog, featuring them as a local staple in Mobotropolis before Robotnik's takeover. Sonic would later have to grab them from vending machines in the sewers. I mean, we have vending machines that serve hot dogs now, so maybe they were ahead of their time here. Sonic's love of chili dogs was well established in all the Sonic animations at that time, but it took a lot of time before it was referenced in the games. But before I get to that, how do you make a chili dog? After my incident with the powder, I decided to track down an actual recipe and do it myself, and to be honest, I'm not a fan. But for the integrity of this channel, I'll make a proper chili dog for you guys, and Sonic himself.
No.
Alright, let's do this. You're gonna need a pound of lean ground beef, some franks, some diced tomatoes, garlic and onion, spices, honey, and brioche buns. Don't get that cheap shit. Get the real stuff. All right, now we're gonna chop these onions. Oh wow, that was pretty quick. Okay. We're moving on. Okay, put the meat in the pan. You're not letting me. Why are you doing that? You're not letting me finish. All right, so are you getting all of this? All right, so while that beef cooks, let's talk about the chili dog references in the actual Sonic games. Surprisingly, Sonic Team took a while to directly reference Sonic's love for chili dogs. The idea was mostly kept alive by fans who grew up on the American animations, and I suppose after a while they decided to finally acknowledge it. The earliest we see it referenced is on the release of Sonic Advance 3 for the Game Boy Advance in 2004. I don't really count this one too much because chili dogs are only listed as his favorite food in the Japanese strategy guide. Fast forward to 2008 with Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood. Not knocking anyone that likes this game, but man, so much wasted potential here. I'd love to see Sega take another crack at this though. Anyway, at the very end of the game, Sonic asks Tails if he's down for some chili dogs, to which Tails says, "You're on." I still don't really count this one since this game was produced and written entirely by a team at BioWare, a Western studio. And I'm not discrediting their work here, but I'm looking for the moment where Sonic Team finally acknowledged chili dogs as Sonic's favorite food.
Chocolate chip sundae supreme.
You want it? It's yours, my friend, as long as you have enough rubies.
Here we go. Sonic Unleashed. This game is like the Winter Soldier of Sonic games, where it's really polished and actually has a lot to love and is mostly enjoyed by Sonic fans, but others want to try and convince you that you're crazy for liking it.
You good, bro?
Released in 2008, this would be the first moment we actually see Sonic holding a chili dog in a Sonic game. Crazy, right? In the Xbox 360 and PS3 version of the game, chili dogs are one of the food items you can purchase from the vendors for 50 rings. There's even a ton of chili dog variants for sale, and let's not forget our boy Don Faccio and his hot dog stand. If you clear the missions that he provides, the Don himself will reward Sonic with special chili dogs depending on the location, like the historic dog or the urban dog.
What do you mean by that?
Just as a personal side note, I love how Sonic Unleashed was a love letter to a ton of different cultures around the world. The food items they included in this game are definitely a nice touch. So with it finally being acknowledged by Sonic Team that chili dogs is Sonic's favorite food, they've included it in several games since then. In Sonic and the Black Knight, we see Sonic summoned inside the book of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, just as he's about to go to town on some chili dogs. We even see him wolf down one before proceeding to fold King Arthur's men here. And then he's here twirling the other one in his hand as he's getting ready to battle King Arthur himself. This version of Sonic is still one of my favorites. So I know I joked about Sonic actually eating his animal brethren earlier, and this is actually referenced in Sonic Runners, that one defunct mobile Sonic game from way back when that nobody can get their hands on now. There's a story mission called A Gift from Mama where Sonic and his friends are trying to retrieve a Master Emerald fragment from an animal named Picky, who is in fact a pig, but he's not just going to hand over the fragment to them because his intention is to give it to his mother. So Sonic and his friends decide to go find a replacement gift for the Master Emerald so Picky can give to his mother, and Sonic actually suggests a chili dog to hand to his mom, which Omochao says maybe that's not the best gift for her. So either Sonic has no idea what chili dogs are made from, or he's an absolute savage. I'll let you guys be the judge. Oh, we're back to our chili dog. Alright, well when the beef is nice and brown here, we're gonna add some honey. I added a little bit more just to sweeten it a little bit, so feel free to go ham. Add some chili powder for spice, our diced tomatoes, black pepper, don't be shy with this, just let it go. And finally, grind our sea salt. You can play around with the ratio here on this too. Man, I'm surprised you waited for me to narrate this time. So while everything else cooks beautifully, there's a couple other Sonic media that directly reference chili dogs. And this wouldn't be a Sonic video if I didn't talk about their inclusion in the Archie comics. Sonic's love for chili dogs were mentioned in the very first issue of the Archie comic, complete with a recipe from Sonic himself. Now, I didn't end up using this particular recipe, but it's important to note that Sonic not only adds barbecue sauce, but red kidney beans, peppers, and mushrooms as well. This version is pretty loaded, so I encourage chili dog fans out there to give his recipe a try. The complete Sonic comic encyclopedia states that at one point, Sonic helped his uncle Sir Charles Hedgehog run a chili dog business with Sonic serving as the delivery boy. Even though the Archie comics are now discontinued, the IDW comics still reference chili dogs as Sonic's favorite food. We even got a nice little panel of classic Sonic fantasizing about one in the 30th anniversary special. That's a nice little touch. Alright, let's bring this home. Chef Mentok and I decided to call it truth, so no more spazzing out. We'll add our franks into the buns, nice and toasted. Add as much chili as you'd like. I decided to skimp a little bit because I don't like mine to be too messy. And then throw some cheese on it. My cheese fans out there, go crazy. Finally, I added some green onion for a little bit of razzle dazzle. And there you have it. Sonic's favorite chili dogs. And now for a quick taste test from Chef Mentok himself. What do you think?
Sweet!
Now that our chili dogs are finally done, I want to talk about the Sonic movies really quickly. We're now pretty sure that these movies are their own separate universe, but we get to see the exact moment Sonic tries his first chili dog and how it grows to become his favorite food. As he and Tom engage in a bar fight, Sonic runs around at super speed to handle every bar goer involved in this scrap, but he also takes the time to eat a few chili dogs from someone else's order before he's done. They end up running with this in the sequel, going as far as having Super Sonic use his powers to break the constructs of reality and summon 2 chili dogs to eat after he defeats Dr. Robotnik. I'm actually curious if this is just a gag or if the movie version of Super Sonic can truly bend reality at a whim. We've continued to see references in Sonic Boom, Sonic Prime, many of Sonic's character bios, so as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, this seems to be one of the most unanimous facts regarding Sonic's character, and his love for chili dogs doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And I hope you all enjoyed this more lighthearted look at the Sonic franchise. I figured I'd do it as a fun New Year's video and do something a little bit different. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching and sticking with me. It's been a great year for the Mentok channel, and I'm so grateful for you all. Next year, we'll be diving into more Origin Oracle segments for the Mario franchise and beyond.
What do you mean by that?
Wishing you all the best in 2023. As always, everyone be safe. The Prophet has spoken.